there's none. It's just pretty solid.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I'm an Oklahoma City native, so I've lived there my whole life until we moved here in August.
Okay. Well,
Last August, a year ago.
Morning, Barbara.
Good morning, guys.
I'm Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Morning, Laura.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank
Good
you.
morning. Good morning.
Hi, Steve.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Steve.
Good morning, Steve.
Hey, Jim Connor. Oh, Jim.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, buddy.
Good morning.
You don't need to hit the bell, Barbara.
Yeah, I'll hit the bell anyway. Okay, we'll start the meeting. Let me bring up the flag. And there we go. And there is Miss Joy, who is our Rotarian of the day. I'll pass it over to you, Miss Joy.
Okay. I think we'll start with the prayer and then we'll go to the pledge. Is that how we do it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to share with you, since we have street school, and then what I have here today is a prayer that was written by one of my exchange students after he went to RILA. He's a very privileged young man, lives in a penthouse in Milan, went to RILA, and it just rocked his world. And so when he returned from RILA, he volunteered, he's not a religious young man. He volunteered, he asked to do a prayer to Bishop Kelly. So when I read this prayer, you'll find references to the parochial school curriculum. But anyway, I just thought what he had to say was really significant since we invest heavily in RILA and the exchange program. Good morning, Bishop Kelly. This is Junior Carlo Episco. Please stand up for this morning's prayer. Let us remember that we are in the holy presence of God. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. During the fall break, I had to go to a camp hosted by the Rotary Club. I really didn't want to go, as I was going to miss robotics club, soccer, and a good amount of time watching TV. Once I arrived there, my opinion about the camp didn't change at first. My roommates were pretty weird. They told me they really liked my accent, and they kept asking me to talk all the time, something that happens quite often. But the way they were asking was really awkward, and I remember thinking that they were just a bunch of losers, something that I now feel really ashamed to say. Once I heard their stories, my opinion about them completely changed. A guy had to call the police on his mom 2 weeks ago and is now living in a special police program to protect him. A girl's mom passed away 2 days before camp started because of a drug addiction, while another girl lived in a methamphetamine lab with her abusive dad. Obviously, my attitude during those days at camp radically changed. I would have liked to tell them how sorry I was for thinking all those horrible things about them and ask them to forgive me for something they didn't even know I did. The day after I went to the chapel, it was the first time in my whole life I had prayed in a church. I just felt I needed to do it. So I woke up at 5 in the morning and went before the camping activity started, praying to a God I never accepted as mine, but seemed like the only way to redeem myself for judging people who received only suffering from life in such a superficial way. I know I'll never be a good Christian, but I can be a good person. I'll never judge again without first knowing what happens in their life, and without knowing their story, and without knowing their pain. What I ask you to do today, BK, is to change your attitude towards strangers. The next time someone is mean to you, for whatever reason, there's no need to answer, spitting even more hate. We don't know if that person's had a bad day or a bad life. Jesus taught us to turn the other cheek, And after ignoring the suggestion for 17 years, I finally understand the importance of it. And in case you weren't already doing it, I can tell you with no doubt that he was damn right. This is my prayer. This time my prayer is pretty serious, but I still want to add a little quote from Tupac that I think fits this prayer. His quote is, "They don't know my struggle, they only see the trouble." And now let's pray. Dear God, thank you for giving us a life full of happiness, giving us necessary focus and strength to see the good that lies in everyone. Let us judge people for what they really are and not for how they look. Help us to achieve peace by helping others in need, to be happy by making others happy. We ask this through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. So now would you join me in the pledge?
Wow.
All right. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance
To
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Joy. Megan, I'll pass it over to you as Sergeant at Arms.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good
Hope everybody's
morning.
doing well on this beautiful morning. We've had some great weather. So let's see, do we have any visitors again? I see Laura is back. Welcome, Laura. For those of you who don't know Laura, she's just moving here from Oklahoma City. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
Glad you're back. And she's also applied for membership. So we're glad you're
Is
here.
Jesse a member yet?
And
Jesse?
Jesse, okay, there I see you, Jesse. Welcome. Does everybody know Jesse? I think he's visited a few times and is also, I believe, possibly applied for membership as well. So good. Any other visitors? I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at all the pictures.
Our speaker, but she'll be introduced later.
Be introduced. Good. That's Lori. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. We're glad everybody's here this morning. Are there any birthdays or anniversaries? Nothing? Wow.
Herb.
All right. Okay. How about Happy Bucks?
I have a happy buck.
All
I just
right.
got back from a road trip to Atlanta with my husband and younger daughter, Oriana, to visit my older daughter and her husband, Laura and Curtis. And we had a wonderful time. Visited a lot of family we hadn't seen since 4 years ago at their wedding in Atlanta. And went to the theater. And if y'all can picture Atlanta, Georgia in your mind, traffic, crazy, people everywhere. We went to a theater and were the only ones there.
Oh, gosh.
It was very surreal.
Yeah.
But we had a wonderful, wonderful visit with them. And they're back home, still, as I said, kind of feeling the road buzz from last night, but 12 hours in the car.
Ugh.
Happy.
Wow. Well, good. I'm so glad you got to see your family. So fun and traveling. It's nice to get out, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard the theaters are struggling. Actually, I think some like big hit movies were supposed to come out and they just flopped because there was no in theaters, and so they're holding off, I think, on releasing movies. Yeah. So it's an interesting scenario. Any other happy bucks? All right, Joy.
So we had, BJ had arranged an opportunity for us to do service and hand out food from farmers, fresh food boxes. And this is our first effort. And if we get to do it again, people probably know where to be. I think Kit was standing out on 11th Street waving cars in to come, but it was really great to see all the Sunrisers in person. And bump elbows and so forth. It was really great to have that fellowship again.
Good.
Joy, do we know when the next one is?
We'll have to ask BJ.
It's the
Do we know when
26th,
the next one is?
September 26th.
Thank you.
All right. Carolyn is waving. Carolyn, do you have something?
I have a happy book.
All right.
I wanted to tell you that it felt so good to go out and do something with a group with Rotary again. I haven't done it in so long. And so when we were out there giving away food at MS&I, it just felt so good. And I got to see everybody again. That was really the best, I think. And VJ said that he wants to have another one the 26th, but I think he contacted the people with the food, and so they're waiting for more food to come in. So he will let us know definitely if we're going to have one then or not. But it was really great, and I know that this is the first time we've done that. He was wondering if we wanted to do that on a regular basis, at least while the weather was nice and while he had food available. And then after I left, I took like 6 boxes, and I was trying to think of a place to deliver those. And so I found someone that I could deliver them to in a neighborhood that needed them. And so they were going to pass them out to the other people in the neighborhood. So that was really great. But when you get involved in doing that, it starts making you think about all the need here in Tulsa. And also Coffee Bunker came, and got several carloads of boxes. We have a lot of people in our that we give to in Rotary or other organizations that we can contact. And then I drove around, and it made me think about, I drove by Joy in a Cause, and it was just really awesome to do that. And I really enjoyed it. And boy, did we have a beautiful day.
We did. I was so impressed that when we realized, like we've got more food here than we're probably going to have takers. And Cole was calling and saying, bring the truck, we're going to take food to Owasso, to the Baptist village up there, because those people don't have bus service and so forth. So it was just really interesting to watch the Rotarians start pulling all their secret weapons out of their backpack and getting the food distributed.
Yes, it was. And I got to meet Laura, one of our hopefully newest members that's transferring from Oklahoma City, Laura Garrett. And it was just absolutely awesome. And her husband was there as well.
Yep.
Thank you, Laura.
It was great fun. I enjoyed it very much.
I have a happy buck. Not as exciting as that, but I just got back from 2 weeks on the road. In that, one daughter in Springfield, Illinois, son-in-law or daughter-in-law and son, and grandson in Indianapolis, granddaughter in Chicago, and some time in the mud on the farm.
All right. Sounds fun. All right. Any other? Martha, do you have something?
My life has been kind of busy with the census lately, and that will end the end of September. But I had an experience yesterday. I had told the census that I would be willing to go and interview people in less, shall we say, safe areas than a lot of people would be willing to go to, because I was a social worker, so I, didn't think anything about it. And I went to, there were 4 trailers in a bunch of trees and brush and weeds behind a restaurant in Muskogee. And as I drove back there, and I'm driving through weeds that had not been cut, there's no driveway, I feel like I'm going into a jungle. I'm thinking, am I crazy? I could be hidden back here and they would never find me again. And I got out of the car, and there's junk all over, there's cats all over, and I started walking, and I'm just yelling, is anybody home? Is anybody home? And this little man comes out, and he was so gracious. Had lost a few teeth and was really scruffy. And then his brother came out and talked to me, and they took me to their garden, and they gave me some cherry tomatoes, and they gave me some habanero peppers that they had grown. And they were so proud of their garden, which was in the middle of all these weeds and everything else. But really wonderful people. So we don't know sometimes when we feel like we're going someplace that's not where we want to be, that behind all those weeds were some of the most wonderful people I had met while I've been doing the census and actually in my life. And I'm looking forward to going back there because I only was able to talk to him, and there's 5 other families that live back there. And I'm hoping that later on today, when I go back to Muskogee, that I will get those folks as well.
Great story, Martha. That's awesome.
Very lucky.
Would they have been counted if you had not gone to see them?
No, they would not have. Because all of these are addresses that I get on my phone. On my iPhone, it's all computerized, and there's no names or anything. There's just addresses, and we're going out to see if anybody lives there.
Wow. What an experience. That's awesome. And thank you for working on the census.
Oh,
Martha, you should swing by and have a cup of tea with my wife when you're back in Muskogee today.
oh, I didn't know you lived in Muskogee.
Yeah, that's my home.
Oh,
Okay. Well, I just may do that. Give her a call.
great.
Hey, Megan.
Yes.
Hey, this is Scott. I've got a happy buck. I just want to say, kind of give a shout out. We got a new car this past week, and my wife did, and I called my insurance agent, and he made it so easy. My insurance agent, I will say, is Mark Welty. He made it so easy. I mean, we were basically taking care of everything over the phone and a few text messages, and it was great. So I just want to give a shout out to him. He made that transition from one car to the other car just as easy as it could be.
Thanks, Scott.
All right. Good.
Megan, I have a happy buck. This is Cole.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a
Okay.
couple. So to add on to what Joy was saying, for the past since March, Kevin and I have been making grocery runs for the assisted living in Baptist Village. My daughter's great grandma was there. And so, I mean, we had so many, I think we ended up doing like probably 50 boxes over there. And I mean, they were so happy. They haven't really been able to get a lot of fresh produce right now because they're not able to go to the stores. A lot of them don't drive, and they're not going on the bus services right now. And so they actually, and I need to find it, my daughter had it, so I'm not sure where it's at, but they actually wrote Rotary a note, and a bunch of the residents signed it to thank everybody because they were just, I mean, it's like we would go to the doors and they would, start crying because they're not getting things right now, which you don't think about, because I feel like most of us are still getting things, and there's others out there who are not, and it's not anything to do with income or anything like that. It has to do with age right now. So we're thankful because we don't get to do a lot for them, and so we were able to do that for them. And then I have a second happy buck. Rochelle Parker, who is the district administrator, is a dear friend of mine, and she is moving, and so she has resigned, and I have actually applied and maybe making a career change after, so I have applied for the district administrator position within our district, and so I got confirmation on Monday from Don Dendos that my resume was received, and he sent me the timeline and what avenues it'll go through. And so come the last week of September, I may having new jobs. So we'll see how that goes. I'm really hoping that it works out, but you know, if not, there are other things, and I am very grateful for the job that I have now, but I am excited. I really hope that it works out.
Congrats, that's awesome, Cole. Well, we wish you the best in that. That's great. Hey. All right, any others? Oh, Bill Lawson has something. Bill?
Well, I just wanted to mention that I was with our great group of Sunrisers and Sandites, by the way. The Sand Springs Rotary Club was represented there as well on Saturday at MSNI. And so VJ loaded half a pallet of those boxes in the back of my truck to take to the coffee bunker. So when I delivered them to the coffee bunker, it was locked up and no one was there. But a couple of phone calls, well, a phone call anyway, to one of my daughters here in Tulsa, and I got connected to the Bixby BOC executive director, and she met me, and we unloaded that, and all that food was distributed on Monday. So, but you know, they really provide for a lot of folks in Bixby. So, at any rate, you know, every now and then things don't go the way you think they're going to, but you just have to do something else.
I love Bixby Outreach Center. Missy's great. So I'm glad you did that, Bill. That's awesome. I live in Bixby, so I'm a little biased. Anything else? Okay, Joy, you have something else? Joy, you're on mute.
Okay, now I know where to unmute. Sorry about that. I just wanted to share with you guys, you know, I had a major bike wreck in May and broke my back. I broke my collarbone, and my collarbone never knitted back together. And so Friday morning, I'm going to have surgery, and I'll be armor plated. And anyway, but I'm excited to get to be able to get full function back in my left shoulder and so forth. And so this has been a long time trying to get this scheduled and get it done. So I'm just happy for that.
Good luck.
Wish
Yes.
you well.
Wish you well, definitely.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Joy. All right. Is there anything else? Others are going to move on. Okay, great happy bucks this morning. All right, so for the joke of the day, this is called Montana Grizzly Bear Notice. In light of the rising frequency of human grizzly bear conflicts, the Montana Department of Fish and Game is advising hikers, hunters, and fishermen to take extra precaution and keep alert for bears while in the field. We advise that outdoorsmen wear noisy little bells on their clothing so as not to startle bears that aren't expecting them. We also advise outdoorsmen to carry pepper spray with them in case of an encounter with a bear. It is also a good idea to watch out for fresh signs of bear activity. Outdoorsmen should recognize the difference between black bear and grizzly bear poop. Black bear poop is smaller and contains lots of berries and squirrel fur. Grizzly bear poop has little bells in it and smells like pepper.
Very good. Thank you, Megan.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's go back to, here's some pictures that were sent to me from you guys distributing the food on Saturday. So again, thank all of you who went out to do that. It was so appreciated. Bill Bowen is asking for people for the third Saturday of the month. I keep putting this up there, but I guess this Saturday is the third Saturday. So they
This is the third Saturday. Good segue. I've got two folks signed up, and so we have room for one more. And I'm not going to be able to because I'm going to be working. But anybody else? And because I heard from them yesterday, wanted to know, and I said we'll have at least two about 9:30 at Jenks Food Bank. Anybody else want to let me know that they're going to be there right now?
Hey, Bill, if you don't have anyone else sign up, I go with the Jinx Rotary when they volunteer with Kevin. And if anyone is worried about distancing and things like that, the way they have it set up right now is none of the participants or none of the receivers of food actually come inside the building. You run a basket out and actually load their car up. And it's very, very well done, and it's very quick as well. So you're actually not there as long as what you used to be. And then I was going to tell you, if you don't have anyone else sign up, I can always drag Kevin along too.
Well, I've got you and Jim down, and for being there. And there anybody else?
You could put me down, Bill.
Okay. Well, there's our three then. Great. Thank you, Mike. Can I also put a little reminder in here that October 10th, we will have a work day at the Tulsa Hills Youth Ranch. How did you know that was going to come up, Barbara? There you go. And actually, you don't even need to sign up with me. Just show up. Or if you have any questions about how to get there or anything along that line, usually I tell people to bring, rakes or leaf blowers, or always take my string trimmer out with me. Come on.
Perfect, thank you. Again, the children at Lindsay House need school supplies. Even if you're not going to school in person, you still need supplies. So if you go out to Amazon, I think the link is in the fundraiser this week. Just click on it, pick a few things, and it'll be shipped directly to Lindsay House. Also, that's the link down there for donating to our to the Cameroon medical supplies to get the immunization over there for the children. We have the supplies, we just need the shipping money. So if you feel so inclined, there's the link down there. And last week, we had a little bit of fun with our fundraiser. We asked anybody if they knew what the error was in the fundraiser. And Tim Holder responded back in the chat room. He saw the error immediately, and he won the $5 Starbucks gift card, which I gave to him at the board meeting on Monday night. So if anybody has read their fundraiser this week very carefully, they will know what the error in the fundraiser is. Go to the chat room, tell me what the error is, and the first person that does that will win this week's $5 Starbucks gift card. Now, before I do this, Barney, are you on the call? Barney wanted to say a few words if he was on the call. I'm not hearing Barney on the call. Mike?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. This is it's really an odd request, but Ellie and I, we received a gift subscription recently from a newspaper. And yesterday, VJ emailed me and showed me that he had received a note from this publication suggesting that Ellie and I recommend that he subscribe to it. And I'm very concerned that others might have received it because it was sent to an MSNI address, which means, well, potentially it means they've hacked my address book. And I just wanted to let people know about that. And if they received anything from something called the Epic, EPOCH Times, that's a newspaper, I wish you would let me know. Please send me an email or what have you, or give me a call. But I have talked to those people, expressed my concern about that, and told them that one of my many attorneys would be in touch in case there were any more. So
I want to ask if anyone.
Barney, you don't remember giving out those names and addresses?
Anyway, if you'd let me know that if you received anything from a publication indicating that Ellie and I made a recommendation that they subscribe for 2 months at $2, that would be appreciated. Thank you, Barbara.
Okay, thanks, Barney. Okay, Mike, I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now, and you can share your screen, and you can explain our pot of gold.
All right. Well, I'm excited that we're able to start the pot of gold again. We've had a number of people either give me money or send me money. Each one of those people has a ticket with their name on it. And I'm going to mix them up a little bit. And I'm going to mix them up a little bit more. And I'm going to draw a ticket. And the ticket has Barbara Smallwood's name on it. Okay, I'm going to share my screen real quick. And oops, how do I do that? Oh, there it is. Okay, Barbara, I have numbered cards, and whichever one you pick, we will see if it's the Joker. Which number would you like?
Okay, we'll see how this works. I'm going to take number 9.
She chooses number 9. So I'm going to dig through the cards. I hope you guys can see this. There's card number 9. And card number 9 is, oh, it's a jack. Oh, I'm sorry, Barbara.
They would think that was a setup deal if I'd won.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Next week there will only be 18 cards. Again, all you got to do is send me a check or cash in the mail. Your name will be put on tickets, and we'll have another drawing next week.
And it says the instructions in the fundraiser were, you want to send $5 and have 1 ticket per week for 5 weeks, however you want to do it. Just get your money to Mike, or if you want to write him a check, write a check, take a picture of it, text it to Mike, and then mail the check to him if you're concerned that the post office might not get there on time. So we're going to start doing it, and maybe we can give away some money in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Okay, let's see. Okay, one more thing. I always give you the latest and the greatest. Our numbers are still not where they need to be for us to start meeting in person, although I am hopeful that they're going to start creeping down. I'm looking toward having in-person and hybrid combination meeting probably the middle of October at the Marriott. And I've talked to Joe about it, and they're ready to accommodate us, and they're anxious to have us back. So keep that kind of in your mind. Unless the numbers start going up drastically, I think we'll be able to start meeting in person. So I'm hopeful for that, and I know everybody else is too. Meanwhile, please try to get involved in some of the community activities that we have going on and keep our connections with each other going strong. Okay, Joy, I'm going to turn it over to you to be Rotarian of the Day, talk about yourself, and then introduce Lori for us.
Well, I'm so humbled by the bio that Steve Carecraft for me, and I was just like, anyway, I don't think I could say any more other than you may know that I am quite involved in youth exchange, and Fred and I have hosted 6 students. 5 are European, and 1 is South American. And it's just been, for a woman or for people who don't have any children, it's been, for me, it's been pretty easy to have a 16 or 17-year-old drop into your home and live with you for 3 months and become a part of your family and so forth. So anyway, just an encouragement. If you are ever considering it, give me a call. When we get out of COVID, we'll have an exchange program again. I'd like to just briefly introduce to you Lori McGinnis Madland, and she is the head of the CEO of Tulsa Street School, which is an alternative high school and therapeutic counseling program in Tulsa. And as I read in Carlo's prayer, there's a lot of kids out there that have been are challenged to even function normally in school because of the issues that they are having to live through in their home. And so Lori's well aware of that and has dedicated herself to creating programs and curriculum and just design school, programs that would help these young people get their high school degree, where they could perhaps break this chain of just sadness. And so anyway, I'm not gonna, she has all kinds of degrees, and you can read all that in your fundraiser. So I know she has a lot to share with us. And so I'd like to introduce to you Lori McGinnis Madland.
Okay, Lori, are you there? I'm wondering if she's dropped.
Looks like she has.
I'm not, I saw her on the screen a minute ago.
I'll go get my phone, see if I can call her.
Okay. Meanwhile, VJ put in the chat room that he's working on doing another food distribution with the Go Fresh USA organization on the 26th. So you'll know later this week if that's a confirmed date or not. So kind of put that in the back of your mind and for the calendar.
Well, I would like to say I'm really glad to see you this morning, Kurt. I think that's great. How are you? So the other thing I wanted to point out was apparently Connie Mikas has had another hairdo, and it didn't turn out nearly as well as we had hoped.
Thank you, Bill. What happened to your face?
We can't hear you, Bill.
It got bigger. It goes all the way to the back of my neck now.
Well, Joy's trying to call her, so.
It's good to see that Joanne is with us today.
Yes, it is.
You know, if we were meeting in person, then our speaker would have a hard time getting out the door. So
Hey, Megan, I have a story quickly that's related to your joke this morning that Karen and I went hiking in New Mexico this last week. And I've been there several times with friends, and my usual hiking buddy couldn't make it this year. So Karen went with me, and we had a great time, but she insisted that before we went that I buy bear spray. And so I had actually offered to buy her bells as well and put her initials on it so we would know, which she did not appreciate that humor. But we never had to use the bear spray on all the chipmunks that we saw.
Glad you're safe.
Joy, are you able to get a hold of Lori?
But
I won't be able to, but let's see, calling using audio. I can see you. Do you see me?
We see you.
Okay. And I'll continue to try to get, it's just crazy.
Oh, there's Lori. I see you, Lori.
Yeah, I told Joy there was a big pop in my neighborhood right when she was getting ready to provide an introduction and kind of a brownout, and everything was just wiped out. I can't find, but at least I can find mine. So I won't have any audio for you, but
you mean video?
you'll just have me.
Yeah. Okay.
That's okay. We want to hear your message.
Yeah. Okay. I can at least bring some up so I can remember to stuff. All right. Then are you ready for me then?
Yes, ma'am. we're waiting with bated breath.
All right, get on with it.
Smells strange, but anyway, this is technology where we kind of are right now for sure. So.
Oh, we don't hear you now.
Hey, Joy, go ahead and unmute your phone. I think what we're doing is hearing her through your.
Okay, Lori, apparently they're only hearing through your phone, so let me make sure I've got my phone turned up. I didn't.
And Lori, you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself?
You're on mute. Can you unmute?
I think I just did.
Yeah, you're good now. Nope, we can't hear you.
Oh, I might be able to.
There, now we hear you.
Okay, I think I'll be able to get back on the internet on my laptop, which would make it easier for everybody. Let me try one more time. I'm going to put this down now, so hold on, let me find my email. Oh, technology, it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. Got my phone now.
Can you guys, is she on up yet now? She's trying to re-log in. Okay.
Except the picture's frozen. There.
Yay! Hey!
I'm back. Crazy. All right. Anyway, thank you for inviting this morning. I really appreciate it. It's just been really nice to catch up and hear all the good works that you all are doing. I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but I'm just curious, if just like a show of hands or a thumbs up or a thumbs down, I'm just curious how many of you really liked high school? Okay. I see some thumbs up. I see some, yeah, okay, a lot of people. I did too. I really liked her, so whatever, for sure. But you know, those teen years are hard ones. And sometimes as we grow older, it's hard to kind of remember some of those things and maybe some of our own behavior or some of our own lives. And I was fortunate that I was raised in an intact, very supportive environment, but I know that not everybody has had that, and certainly not the students or the majority of the students that we serve at Street School. You know, it's hard. Teen years are hard, but they're especially hard if you're impoverished, if you're behind in your schooling, if you feel less than, and certainly I could go on and on. But the majority of kids really function pretty well in those traditional programs. That's where the majority of kids are. They have a lot of protective factors in place. They're able to get their needs filled and be able to move on. But that's not so much the case for the students that we serve at Street School. And by and large, they don't come from those places of support and encouragement. But despite all their life circumstances, they choose to show up every day. And we'll really be glad when we can see their faces in person again, for sure, because we know that the relationships that are built at Street School with our students are really keys to the success. We're very anxious to get school up and running. Hopefully soon we can do that. So during this presentation, I'm going to speak to the majority of the students we serve, because we do have some students that certainly have some supportive environments. They have factors in place. They're just going to go to the beat of a different drum. But that's the minority of the students that we serve. So I'll speak to the general population during this presentation. But it's important for you to know that at Street School, we're really transforming lives, and we do that every day. And we do it in 3 ways. We are creating opportunities for our youth, we're building healthy minds, and we are preparing them for the future. And we do that in so many different ways. It's really a very unique program. So we're creating opportunities for our students in one really big way. It's our overarching theme, which is the world is our classroom. And we feel that students need to learn on their feet and not just on their seat. Those traditional kinds of modes of learning haven't served them well. They need to know and understand the relevancy of what they're being taught and how that applies to their day-to-day life. And I can remember thinking about some of those courses And frankly, there are a couple I still wonder why I had to take, but you know, I don't feel like I really use them. But it's really nice when we've got this skilled staff to explain to students why this is important and why what they're learning does have value in their life. So we take a lot of off-campus trips. We have vehicles, mid buses and a van where the staff can load kids up and take them out into the community. And while they're there, we also are involved in different kinds of service projects. And much like the Rotarians, you know the intrinsic satisfaction, and I've heard that today, that you feel when you give back. Well, until you really help somebody to know what that's like, and if you don't come from a place of that, then you of giving back, then you don't really have that feeling. So we're developing that intrinsic satisfaction in our students, and they really do enjoy and take a lot of pride in giving back into their community. We're building healthy minds through our counseling program. So I heard, I think it was Martha who said you're a social worker. So Martha, you'd be interested to know that we have licensed clinicians on staff. So they're licensed professional counselors or clinical social workers, and every student has one of those individuals assigned to them through their career or until graduation at street school. And that person is so integral to their success because it's often the first time that our students are really talking about the trauma that they've experienced and some of life's circumstances. And it truly is the marriage of the counseling program and the academic program that makes our students successful. Excuse me. And then finally, we're preparing students for the future because just because they graduate from street school, we're not really finished with them. As a side note, we do follow students for 3 years after they graduate from the program because we really want to make sure that what we've tried to instill at street school kind of sticks. And we look at everything, whether they're in a college program, a career tech program, or they're working full-time. If they're involved with the penal system, we look at everything because we really want to have that mirror of success. And we're really proud to say that we can boast about an 88% success rate for those students once they leave street school. But preparing students for the future, you know, we have students that feel like college wasn't even an option for them, or introducing them to different kinds of careers that they didn't feel like, they felt like maybe were off limits for them, that they didn't really belong or fit in. And it's giving them all the skill set and taking them on tours of colleges and tech and different kinds of jobs and opportunities, bringing speakers into them, taking them to places of business to really open up those worlds because they just haven't had that opened up to them. So part of our instruction certainly includes all of the core curriculum areas that you would expect, and then of course electives too, to make up the credits needed for a high school diploma. And part of those electives include life skills. You know, we feel like at street school, this is kind of the last effort before these kids graduate and leave our public school system, that we can kind of push in everything that they need before they go. And certainly financial literacy is a part of that, learning how to budget, how to self-care, how to develop all kinds of things. So much like your RILA, we've had students years ago that have participated in that, so I'm familiar with it. But it's interesting because we've started many, many years ago an internship program. But I'll talk about that in a minute. But we, in our life skills program last year, we were able to connect with a group, and we developed a young entrepreneurs program. And these kids were able to craft, you know, decide what they wanted for their business, and then work to craft that. And this group provided the funds for that. So the school, we weren't going to be out any money if the students didn't quite make the money back, but they provided them loans, and the teachers really helped them to understand what these loans mean and that you have to pay your business loan back. And they took it very seriously, developed all kinds of projects, and we had a big Young Entrepreneurs Day where they where they sold their goods. And we had a lot of folks from the community that came in, and it was really wonderful hearing these students talk about what they did from start to finish, and were so enthusiastic about it. And then, you know, we were all set to do it again before school was out, but you know what happened there? We've got COVID, so everything's on hold. But we're very anxious to be able to start that program up again. I mentioned our internship program, and we started that program as a class many, many years ago, and then a one-time class, and within the life skills block. And then we probably about 15 years ago, we made that a full-time course, excuse me. And it's been really wonderful for students who think that they might have a real interest in an occupation, and then they try it out and think, oh my gosh, you never leave your desk. I don't want to do that job. Or, you know, I'm really into this, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. And so for the past couple of years, we've been working really diligently with Hilti. And Hilti had never had high school students interning in their whole corporation nationwide. So the first group that has been able to intern are a group of street school students. So, you know, we had to kind of have a little chuckle about that because we're taking at-risk students out for the first foray for any high school student ever to be able to participate. And per the usual of our student, they really rise to the occasion. But Hilti's been so great to work with, and we have a real strong internship program, and then they've asked for that internship program to be more lengthy. And at the end of it, students present what they've learned. They really feel valued. They've been able to, they're putting them to work on projects. They're not just, here's some filing nobody's gotten to or something like that. They are really working, and it's been great, and it's been a real boost for them. And it's been able to let members of the community really get to know our students. A little fact about Street School is that we are the longest running, most successful program serving at-risk youth in the state of Oklahoma. And I would dare say probably in the country, because of the unique way that we form a private-public partnership. And we're a public school, but we have a lot of private dollars that keep us going. We have been nationally recognized for our work with at-risk youth, and we've been serving this Tulsa community for 47 years. A group of volunteers pulled kids off the street in 1973 and began Street School and started a relationship with the district and had the program accredited, and we still enjoy that strong relationship today. Became a United Way agency way back then, and we're still a United Way agency today. We serve students that are in grades 9 through 12, and they range in age from about what high school students are. Sometimes we have those who are a little overage, but they're completing and working hard to reach their dream of their high school education. So the district will partner with us, even though the district has lots of different programs, but they partner with us because of our success in working with these at-risk youth, in particular for their education and counseling aspect of the program to make them successful. There are a lot of fun facts about us, but I will have narrowed it down as best I can. Our best practices were put into Oklahoma law back in the 90s when all districts were required to begin an alternative education program. And so they worked with Street School back then and everybody. So I started a program in another district then, and we certainly always looked to Street School for innovation and best practices. Then the National Alternative Education Association was so impressed with what Oklahoma had done that they've modeled those. But you'd have to go back, you know, to the 90s to really know where everything kind of started and came from. So I looked to that as my job to remind people. Let's see. Also, we have a lot of interest in our programs. And so the Tulsa Global Alliance, I'm sure many of you are familiar with, are bringing visitors to our community for a lot of different reasons. And we have had visitors from all over the world, which has been wonderful for our students to see and get to have an exchange with. But also they've looked at different aspects. They've researched and they have found that it might be our dropout rate that they're interested in modeling. It might be the counseling perspective, but how are we kind of helping these kids to be successful and what can they do? So in 2017 in particular, we had a group from the government of Greenland, and they are really looking at doing some very systemic change and kind of moving away from a more European model of education. And so they did some research and looked at Street School and then a VOTEC program in the region. And you know, you never think your paths are going to cross again with someone from Greenland. However, in October of of 2018, I was contacted by the government and they asked if I would come over and work with their work groups and show them, explain to them our success and our way of doing things at street school. And it was really the experience of a lifetime to be able to go to Greenland to work. I mean, that really wasn't even on my list to go, you know, but I was all for it. But to be able to go and work with people and to see them so excited about this big change that they want to have taking place. So I'm really excited to kind of watch what goes on over there over the next few years and what they're able to do. So a lot of people want to know, what are our kids like? Who do we serve? What are we doing? I've given you kind of an overview. So you're getting a pretty good picture. And as I said, our students deal with a lot of poverty. They're home, typically a lot of homelessness, a lot of family dysfunction, extremely high poverty. And so all of that just wreaks havoc in their lives. And so, and certainly makes for concern for all of us at street school during this time of virtual learning, virtual education, virtual counseling, you know, not really being able to really get a good look at our kids, but we're all managing. But the stories are often the same. And by and large, our kids are adolescents. I mean, they're kids, and they've been forced to take on a lot of adult responsibilities far beyond their time that they're ready to do that. They've suffered from neglect, abandonment, a lot of abuse. As I mentioned, a lot of trauma. We are a trauma-informed staff, and so that is a lot of the students that we work with. But our community is filled with street school graduates, and they're contributing members of our society. So I think that kind of gives you an idea, maybe a face, if you will, for who our students are. But they really are kids who society, schools, families have often, you know, kind of literally or figuratively kind of tossed aside. So to know their stories and to know that about them, and that they put one foot in front of the other and still want to come to school despite all of their circumstances is really amazing to me. I mean, they will take multiple buses to get there. They will be on their retread of a retread tire. They will bicycle, they will walk, and they come. And they come because we have developed an education program that is engaging to them, that they feel that street school is like a family for them. And that's what, if you would ask them, that's what they would say. So we're certainly very proud of all that. You know, our kids they're not all in need of remediation, though some are. We have a good some that are gifted and talented. They've kind of gone through the cracks. We have students who suffer from addiction, and we have a treatment aspect of the program to help them with that. They are funny, they are creative, they're also disenfranchised. So they just bring all of society's ills to our front door, and we really work with them so that they can build a better life through education, through job training, and that they can start breaking those cycles. You know, it takes a couple of generations to break that generational poverty. And we see that once we know education is key for that. So it is, it's key. So as I think about their stories, it helps us to understand why in Tulsa County, now no, I'm not talking about Tulsa Public Schools here, but in our whole Tulsa County, we have about 4,000 students that drop out of school starting in 8th grade. And it helps us to understand when we know those stories, why 71% of our Oklahoma prison inmates don't have their high school diploma. And it helps us to understand why so many kids are hungry when drug use is a priority in the home. But it also shows us why street school is important to our community and how much we make a difference for that. And we can really help, as I mentioned, to transform those lives. In 2018, we were able to finally replicate the street school program. You know, funders in a community for years have said, why don't you all serve more students? So as we call our original location, 1.0, we have a maximum enrollment of 95 in that building because a small environment is key. And also it's in law that our class sizes have to remain a certain size. But we know that for that building and for our model, that's perfect. Well, right across the parking lot, the district provided a building for us, and our district partnership and United Way partnership really helped this replication take place. And we have a 3-year build out. So we are in our 3rd year, but because of COVID and when kids come back, the distancing, we are kind of year 3 is on hold for that maximum enrollment until next year. But that building will be at 80 rather as a maximum enrollment. But our enrollment's evergreen. So last year we served almost 200 students, for example, between both buildings. So as students complete, we're able to enroll more students.
Lori,
Yes.
Lori, I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry. We would like to have a few minutes for questions. We're kind of getting to that point. Can we ask some questions at this point, or
Sure.
do you have anything else you would like to?
One more thing I'd like to say is that we have a tremendous history of success with our students show up and with their grades and all of that, as you can imagine. But we have been able to hire 2 former street school students. One has since moved on back to college life because he prefers teaching at the collegiate level, but he has his PhD, and the other is our clinical director. And both really talk about how street school changed the trajectory of their lives so that their children would not have to repeat the same kind of upbringing that they had to do. And it's just pretty remarkable. So I know you're short on time, so I had a couple pictures.
That's okay. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. I don't want to be of your time.
Yeah, no, there was one comment that, from Martha. She just said her oldest son had ADHD and was in trouble for behavior and couldn't learn in a traditional school environment. She enrolled him in alternative school. It was a lifesaver. He loved tutoring elementary school children and reading, and in one outreach program through school. Changed his life. And basically, she says, I know that street school provides changing experiences as well, life-changing experiences as well. Thank God for these schools. Yeah. So I wanted to let you know about that one. There is a question. What is the average enrollment? I think you just stated that.
Yeah, so our average enrollment for one school is 95, and for the other school right now it's 60. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we serve more than that during the school year. And we have 3 state sources of income, and I mentioned United Way. And then this year we will privately raise $1 million. So fingers crossed that fundraisers can take place in the robust way that they have been in the spring.
Yeah, street party is awesome. I've been to that. That's fun. Yeah.
It is.
So, and then let's see, how are students recruited?
You know, students, as my mother used to say to me, birds of a feather flock together. She was not being complimentary when she said that, as some people I might be hanging around with. But to that, at-risk students kind of know other at-risk students, and they have success, and they'll recruit their friends to come over. And then certainly our counselors are working with the school counselors and the schools to say, we've got this other program now. That helped really to resolve that huge waiting list that we always had, and bring kids over and let us know. And we are constantly doing tours and speaking to new enrollees.
Okay. Any other questions out there? It says, what type of fundraisers do you have during COVID?
Well, we were fortunate in the spring that Street Party, as Megan mentioned, was in February, and so it was really quite successful, and we were so glad that it happened in February, and you know, because none of us knew what was coming. And we do a breakfast, kind of an awareness breakfast in December, and we're talking about how we're going to look at that online this year. And we are just hoping that with the Cox Convention Center, we know that they can space crowds, and they're working on that. And we're just really hopeful that we will be able to have a safe fundraiser and street party in the spring, because that is a huge, you know, it's about a $450,000 goal that we have for that. So that's a huge part of our budget. I know that some people have done some things online, and it just hasn't been quite as successful, but you know, we'll plug away and hope for the best, weather this storm.
Okay, great. One more question. It says, is there any service our club can provide to street school?
Well, I think that's something, you know, for us to talk about and think about as we go forward. You know, we have our United Way Day of Caring will look very different this year, and they'll be out on Friday. But you know, I'll think about that. I do know we do have a food and clothing pantry, and we're always taking donations because I mentioned, you know, most of our students, the majority of students live in households earning under $27,000 a year, so they're pretty poor. And food and the food pantry is a big deal. And the district's providing meals for, you know, breakfast and lunch, as you know, but having that extra part is is big. So anyway, I'll give that some thought and get back to Joy or Barbara, you, Megan, or whoever. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. All right.
It sounds like that would be a possibility when we have leftover food from our MSNI distribution.
Yes, that'd be great.
Definitely. Okay. Great. All right, Barbara, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, Lori, excuse me, Lori, thank you so much for giving us a little bit more knowledge about street school. And yes, if there's something that we can do to link with you guys to help, because our club works a lot with young people, and that's what our kind of what our focus is. So keep us in mind and think about ways.
I will, and you might think we'll talk about it as we are able to come back and have mentors, you know, an hour a week with a student or anything else you might be speaking to a class or something. So there are a lot of different ways, but I appreciate it.
Good.
Thank you all for having me.
Thank you. We appreciate your time this morning.
All right. Bye-bye.
My closing comment is from Winston Churchill. It is a mistake to look too far ahead. Only one link in the chain of destiny can be handled at a time. So maybe that's something to ponder on for the rest of this week until we see you all again next week. So thank you all, and y'all have a great week.